نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Respectful honorable friends, continuing from yesterday's discourse, wherein I mentioned to you how a big transformation came into the lives of the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and this change came about through the tazkiyah that took place through Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that how he reformed the hearts. And by reforming the heart, the internal reformation took place, and how important it is for the external and the internal to conform. And that is that the external should be according to the Shariat, and at the same time the internal needs to be according to the Shariat as well. It is for that reason that you find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, وَذَرُوا ظَاهِرَ الْإِثْمِ وَبَاطِنَ, that stay away from those sins which are zahir and batin, those which are seen, known, those which are unseen and unknown. Those which are unseen and known unknown are those which are to do with the inner self of an individual. What lurks in our hearts, the fellow person in front of us cannot see. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions to us to stay away from both sins. Now when it comes to the external, you won't find any Muslim that doesn't know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made certain things halal and He's made certain things haram. That it is halal for me to eat such type of food, it is haram for me to eat such types of food. It is halal for me to drink certain types of beverages, and it is haram for me to drink certain types of drinks. We know these things. Certain actions are halal for me, certain actions are haram for me. It's haram for me to commit zina, it is haram for me to gamble, it is haram for me to steal, it is haram for me to murder. We know these type of things, and majority of the times Muslims will abstain and safeguard themselves from such types of sins and disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And those who do commit these sins will be aware, and they know that they shouldn't be doing these things, but out of their own weakness they'll still be carrying it out. So when it comes to the zahiri, the actual physical disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we all know what is halal and haram. Now that's the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made these type of certain things which are halal and haram to do with the zahir. In the same way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made certain things halal and haram for us, which has to do with the internal self, with our batin, with the internal. Unfortunately, it is there that we are so very neglectful of these things. Now just the way there is categories of things that this is from the major sins, and these are things which are haram. In the same way, there are certain things which are to do with the internal self of an individual, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made these things haram upon us. For example, with regards to the inner self, there is such thing as illicit haram love, illicit love that a person may have. This Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made haram. In the same way, for a person to have pride in the heart, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made this haram. For a person to harbor jealousy, hasad, this Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made haram. So in this way, there's a lot of things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made haram. But these are not physical attributes, they're not physical bodies, or a physical deed and action, but there's things that remain, which lurk in the heart. And indicated to this way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, and He referred to these things as marad. Marad meaning al-illness. So with regards to sins, external sins, these are ithm. And that which you do with the internal, these are ithms as well, ism as well. Along with that, they are, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers them as being a marad. Marad means an illness. Now these are all spiritual illnesses. For example, if I suffer from show and pomp, I suffer from pride. Now these are things which is not, I go out and physically do these deeds, but it is that which is in my heart. Pride, where I feel that I am better than everybody else. Or those in front of me, they are not as good as me. They are weaker than me, they are lower than me. Where in my heart I have jealousy with somebody, I have enmity with somebody. These are those type of things which are in the heart. And nobody can see these things, but it is there in the heart. Now, for a person who has these type of things in the heart, such a person is a mariz. Such a person is an ill person. He has an illness. And these are illnesses of the heart. And until these illnesses of the heart are not removed from our hearts, we will never be a kamil mu'min. We will not be a complete believer. Unfortunately today, we just think a complete believer is the one, as I indicated towards the end of yesterday's majlis, is just the one who does his ibadah. He does his salah, he does his som, zakat, hajj, he does these things and he thinks, that's it, I am a kamil believer. But he's not bothered about how his inside is. He doesn't have ikhlas in his heart. And he has all these other illnesses in his heart. Now because of that, he thinks that he is well. Now, with regards to physical selves, a person who is ill, when we say, look, this person is ill, it is not necessary that we can see that individual's illness. One is where a person may have a broken arm. And if he has a broken arm, you can see you can see the cast on his hand, and you can see, look, he's got a broken hand. He's got a cut somewhere, injury somewhere, which is outside. You can see that he's got this injury there. And the other is where a person is ill, but we cannot see that illness. For example, he has cancer. Now the cancer is inside him, we can't see that illness. He has TB. It is something that is inside, we can't see it. It is saying he has pneumonia. It's such illnesses which are affecting him inside. Now by being inside, we cannot see those illnesses there. And because we can't see those illnesses, we won't say that, look, this person is making it up, this person isn't ill, just because we cannot see the illness. But the one who is ill knows himself. I mean, we may even be deceived and, look, this person seems well to me, I can't say anything. And obviously we can't see any signs of the illnesses. But the one who is ill knows how ill they are, because they are suffering inside. The illness is inside. They have a fever, they're feeling the fever inside. We cannot see that fever. So whatever they're feeling, the illness is inside. You ask that person, how are you? They're going to say, I am ill. Why are you ill? You look well enough, but I'm ill because I have a fever. I'm ill because I'm suffering from this illness and that illness. Now at least is there, he'll admit that he is ill. And if he admits that he is ill, he'll at least do something about himself. He'll do something about it. He'll go to a doctor and he'll get himself seen. The doctor will see what illnesses he has. And when he goes to the doctor, very important to remember, and this is now going a stage forward for those people who are already on the path of suluk. Because remember, the topic is for a beginner's guide to Tasawwuf. Now for one who is already on Tasawwuf, on the path of suluk, he will go to his Shaykh, just the way a patient will go to the doctor. Now when this patient goes to the doctor, he doesn't just sit there in front of the doctor, expecting that this doctor who is qualified and experienced, he's just going to look at me and tell me what's wrong with me. He can't expect that, because the doctor isn't going to do that. Yes, there may be certain signs, symptoms, which a doctor can see from the eyes, from the complexion, and he may be able to say from that or understand from that, look, this person is suffering from this and that. But more than that, it is the duty of the patient that the patient says, look, this is what I'm suffering from. This is what I'm suffering from. In the morning I feel like this, in the afternoons I feel like this, I feel like this before food, I feel like this before after food, this is how I'm feeling. According to that, the doctor will understand what illnesses he has. In the same way, when a person goes to the Shaykh, do not expect that we'll just go to the Shaykh and the Shaykh is just going to tell us, looking at us, what is wrong with us. That's not going to happen. We need to tell the Shaykh, look, this is what I'm suffering from. And accordingly, the Shaykh is going to diagnose. Just the way a person goes to that doctor and says, this is what I'm suffering from, accordingly, he's going to give you medication. For a certain illness, he'll give you a different medication to another illness. According to the illness, he's going to then treat you. In the same way, with regards to the spiritual illnesses, the doctor or our Shaykh is going to treat us accordingly. And this way, with regards to physical illnesses, there may be certain illnesses by seeing the complexion of the eyes or the complexion of the face, the doctor may be able to understand that this person is ill. Person has yellow jaundice. You can see in the eyes and on the complexion, and immediately this is where he's suffering from. Yes, there are times when certain sins and certain illnesses are such that they become evident from the eyes and the complexion, which a shaykh can even perceive. For that reason, one occasion a companion, somebody came in the company of Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radhiyallahu ta'ala, to which he mentioned that what is it with the people that they come into the gathering after having committed zina of the eyes. And he perceived this from the zahir of that individual. That's where the doctor can see certain illnesses from the eyes of the patient. So, as I mentioned to you, that when a person is suffering inside, internally, they know that they are suffering and they know they have this illness. And when they know they have this illness, they'll go and do something about it. All of us sat here and listening at home. There is nobody here at all that doesn't suffer from spiritual illnesses. Not a single person. Not a single person. Otherwise, you wouldn't be a human being, you would have been an angel. If you claim and feel, no, I'm free from all these things, then you're not a human being, you're an angel. Because it is impossible. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created human beings. So there's nobody whatsoever who doesn't suffer from spiritual illnesses, just the way a person can be very fit and healthy. No matter how fit and healthy it is, it doesn't mean that you won't become ill. You'll still become ill. And at times there are certain illnesses that a person has, despite the fact that they're fit and healthy. In the same way, each and every single one of us suffers from spiritual illnesses, albeit everybody's spiritual illnesses may differ from one another. People suffer from different illnesses. Somebody has this, somebody has that. Somebody may have pride, another person doesn't have pride. But instead of pride, he doesn't have pride, but he has love for the world. He has love for name and fame. Somebody else, he doesn't have jealousy with anybody else. But at the same time, he has enmity with somebody else. So those illnesses that lurk within the heart are going to be different in every individual. But we still suffer from it. And as long as we suffer with this, and we don't do anything about it, we will never be kamil believers, we will never be complete believers. We will only be kamil, complete believers when our external and our internal conform with the shariat and conform to that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants. It is for that reason that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions what قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. That قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا. That the one who has made his tazkiyah, who has purified him, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ, indeed he has attained success. وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. And the one who hasn't, the one who's remained in this state of illness, then he has attained destruction. And this is what we all want. We all want what? We all want success. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, success is the one who قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا مَنْ زَكَّاهَا. The one who has purified him, who has reformed himself, he is the one who has acquired success. So tazkiyah is very, very important. And this tazkiyah cannot take place on its own. Remember that as well. Because if it did take place on its own, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not have sent Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ to do the tazkiyah of the Sahaba. But rather it would have been a case of just a command of Allah that reform yourselves. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةَ, that perform the salah, establish the salah, give the zakat. Because it's a command that we can carry out ourselves. We don't need somebody to hold our hands and make us perform the salah. We don't need somebody's help to give the zakat. It is something we can do ourselves. But with regards to tazkiyah is not something that we can do ourselves. Just the way, if we're ill, we can't treat ourselves. We can't treat ourselves. And the amazing thing is that when it comes to illnesses, nobody treats themselves. Nobody just goes onto the internet and looks into that, look, I've got spots under my armpits somewhere here, there, or lumps here or there, or this, that. Let me search on Google. Search on Google the various symptoms. And then see what comes up there. Now, under one symptom, you're going to have about 10, 15 or 20 odd different illnesses. So he doesn't go and try all of those and see what's written there and see what medication has been written there. So now let me go to pharmacy and get my own medicine from there. Nobody does that at all. Nobody does that at all. Yes, they may get some guidance from it to look. Once they diagnose, then they'll go on to Google and say, look, let me get some more research with regards to maybe some alternate medication to this illness. But they don't diagnose themselves by going onto the internet. What do? They'll go to the doctor and speak to the doctor, look, I want expert opinion here. So they don't treat themselves, but they'll go to the doctor and mention to him, this is the illness I have, and see what prescription he gives and what advice he gives. So for our health, we are so punctual and bothered about it. But then when it comes to our spiritual selves, there either we're not bothered at all, or there we think, never mind, let me go on as many websites as possible where there is mention of Tasawwuf and Suluk, and just read various articles and just go on the internet. Remember, by taking back to Google, you're not going to get to Islah then. You can't get to Islah then. Google cannot make your Islah. And at the same Shaykh Google cannot make your Islah. And at the same time, you cannot make your Islah yourself by reading all the books of Tasawwuf. And this is a great hindrance, where a person feels that no, why should I become close to a Shaykh or appoint somebody to be my Shaykh? Instead, let me just read books and books and books of Tasawwuf. And in doing so, what happens is there is so many books of Tasawwuf, but at the end of it, what happens is the mind just gets messed up, because they can't understand these things. They can't understand what's in those books. Because you have to remember that there are such type of things that you need to reach. Look, the author of a lot of the books, Imam Ghazali rahimahullah, a lot of his books are in English and people read them. But those who read his books, let me ask you, from his books, how much do you understand and how much do you not understand? I would presume majority of it you do not understand. If I'm honest enough, majority of it we probably do not understand. And in a lot of it we may have objections as well. No, this doesn't make sense. Oh no, this is wrong, this is kufr. No, this is shirk, this is wrong, what is he on about here? We have these type of doubts and we have these questions. The reason being is that we have still not reached those levels of suluk and that understanding of tasawwuf which these people had, and it was on that level that they wrote these books. That's why. And it is for that reason that these books cannot help us at all. And for that what we need is somebody who will mention tasawwuf to us, present tasawwuf to us on our level. It is for that reason that at the moment, in majority of the places, and I know of all the majalis that I have here, they are all at that beginner's level. And it is of that level because of what level that we are on. There's no point talking about the other levels, the other lataif, when we haven't even understood the basic yet. And all that will do is, it will confuse us more and more. And we are in a time wherein we need an easy, simpler method of tasawwuf, where it is simple for us to understand tasawwuf, easy for us to implement tasawwuf, easy for us to live our lives on the path of suluk. Otherwise you will find, and this is something very important, that when a person does take bayat to a shaykh, to get the right shaykh who can help us in such a way of simplifying things for us as well. Because in a time of spiritual weakness, if we're going to start making people do those type of sacrifices and mujahadat, riyadat, as people did in those days, then you'll find people who run away from suluk and tasawwuf. Because they physically, mentally and spiritually were of different caliber, they were of different level than what we are today. And that is important. That's why you find that a doctor, when he gives his prescription, he'll look at the patient as well. Someone, he might just give them a 50 milligram pill. Somebody else maybe 100, somebody else 300. So he'll treat them accordingly. He doesn't say, oh, this is the highest dose, this give the highest dose. He'll get well soon. Instead, he'll get well forever. He'll get well forever because he won't live anymore. So he'll be well forever. No, he looks at the patient and accordingly he's going to give them. In the same way, this is why, as I mentioned to you, that when it comes to our Reformation Islam, we cannot do it on our own. We cannot just rely on the internet. We can't just rely on books. Because there, and a lot of times, you might read stories that this Shaykh had told his disciple to do something because he complained about something. And again here, same thing. That Shaykh knew the spiritual condition of that disciple, of that murid. So accordingly he gave him that remedy to do. It doesn't mean that it's the same. So if you have a friend, and that friend is suffering something similar to you, and he went to the doctor gave him this medicine, so you don't think to yourself, well, why should I waste time going to the doctor for? He's got the same problem, he went and the doctor gave him that medicine, let me go and get the same medicine. And just follow his prescription. No. Then too we'll still go to the doctor. Because there is a great possibility that we may have the same symptoms, but our illness is different. Or our illness is certain, we may be allergic to certain medication. And because we are allergic to certain medication, the doctor will give us an alternate medication. In the same way, two murids, two disciples can have the same illness, but the remedy for both can be totally different. Because at the same time, the Shaykh knows that for him, this is the best remedy, whereas the same remedy for the other, that will make it worse for him. For an example, Hakeem al-Muthanwi rahimahullah, Shaykh Thanwi rahmatullahi, certain murids, one murid who suffered from pride, he had given him the remedy that he should straighten the shoes and pack the shoes of all those people who came to the Khanqah. Again, people, you have signs written there to place the shoes on the shoe racks. You have shoe racks made as well. But then, unfortunately, we are so disorganized as believers Muslims that we see in the masjid there's shoe racks there, there's signs as well that put your shoes on the shoe rack. But then too, we want to make sure that we just put our shoes on the floor. Isn't it? This is how we are, unfortunately. So undisciplined we are. This is how undisciplined we are, that even if there's no signs there, then too we should understand that those shoe racks are there for a purpose. They're not part of the decor and decoration. They're not just there for show. They're there for a purpose. And the purpose is for them to house our shoes, so we should put our shoes in there. So, Hazrat Thanwi rahmatullahi had said to him to straighten the shoes and pack all the shoes of the people who entered the Khanqah. And this was a remedy for him to remove his pride, because it isn't something you willingly want to go and start picking up the shoes and putting all the shoes in that. So it is something that you willingly want to do. So this was the remedy that he had given this one murid. Now then afterwards you find another murid seeing that this is the case, and that's what he is doing. He went and he started doing the same. He started doing the same as well. Out of pride, and he was given this, so I went to do the same. At the time he stopped him and prevented him from doing that. Saying that, who had told you to do that? When you were not told to do that, then why were you doing that? Because for him it was opposite. Now when he was going and packing the shoes, instead of it removing his pride, it was increasing his pride, because he started feeling to himself, look how low I am that I'm packing the shoes of the people. So instead of it removing his pride, it was increasing his pride. So the same remedy, but for different individuals it's going to be different. Now a person just reads the books there, just reads the books and says, well, okay, if this was given there, so let me go and do the same. What you'll find is that instead of it removing his illness, it will increase his illness. So for that reason you find that you need to have that physical person who you can go to. And as in the previous discourses, how we mentioned to you, how the role of tazkiyah in the lives of the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala, again you find the same there as well. The incident of, going back again to the incident of Sayyidina Hazra radiallahu ta'ala, what did he do? When he felt that change in his heart, and when he felt that he's reached a position of difaq where he said, Nafaqa Hanzala, then what did he do? What did he do? He went to Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He spoke to Sayyidina Abu Bakr, and they both went to Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Not that they thought to themselves, let's just work it out ourselves. What should we do now? But that wasn't the case. They went to Nabi Kareem. This is because eventually people object and say, was it tasawwuf in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Was it tasawwuf in the lives of the Sahaba? Their whole lives was to do with this. A young person, here people objected, why should a murid, a disciple, go to the Shaykh and tell him what he's suffering from? A person is supposed to be concealing his sins and not mentioning it to you. You go to the doctor, if you're suffering from something, you don't just sit there and say, well, let's be private, how can I mention to you I'm suffering from this illness? Then it doesn't matter how private it is, to be cured, you'll mention what it is. On one occasion, a youngster comes to Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What does he say? O Nabi of Allah, I have the desire of committing zina. This desire, he hasn't committed zina yet. He has this desire. What is this desire? This desire again is where it is in the heart. This desire is the spiritual illness that he's suffering from. So he says, I suffer, and I had a desire of committing zina. So he came to who? He came to Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Why? Because he knew that Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has been sent for وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ, to make my tazkiyahs, that when I have such an illness in my heart, Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam will remove that from my heart. And Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, his mission was وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ. And when his mission was وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him the ability of doing the tazkiyah. And we all know, as I mentioned to you in one of the early discourses, that the Sahaba reached that position because of the tazkiyah of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, because their Shaykh was the Prophet of Allah. So the disciples were the Sahaba radiallahu anhu. And so when he came, what did Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam do? Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam didn't start shouting at him. Then what type of a Muslim are you? What type of a Muslim are you that you feel to commit zina? Nabi Kareem didn't say that to him. Because he knew how to treat him. He knew how to treat him. He was a young person. And he knew how delicate the situation was. And Nabi Kareem so beautifully diagnoses and treats him by just simply asking him, tell me, do you have a mother? Yes. Do you have a sister? Yes. Then would you like somebody to have a similar desire with your mother or your sister? No. Then how can you have such a desire with somebody else? How can you look at somebody else with that desire of committing zina? And that was enough for him. That was enough for him. And then Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gave him a bit of a punch on the chest. A bit of a spiritual boost. Why? To start off his spiritual heart. Because of this desire, his heart had become dead. So Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam hit him on the chest to give that spiritual boost again, to revive. When a person loses, when a person has a fall or something, and now you need to start giving them first aid in that. So in the same way, Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had to revive his heart. Revived his heart again. And the desire left him. Now if this Sahabi Radiallahu Ta'ala did not come to Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he would have lived his entire life with that desire in his heart. And as long as that remained, the possibility of committing zina would have also been there. And this is how we are today. That we have all these desires and we are living with desires and we are fulfilling these desires as well. If only we understood and we went to somebody and said to them, look, this is what I'm suffering from. There is the possibility that maybe somebody, a Shaykh, would have diagnosed us, the Shaykh would have treated us, and then we would have been freed from that spiritual illness. This, friends, is وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ that took place during the time of the Sahaba and Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. May Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala grant us all the understanding, and inshallah we shall continue on Saturday inshallah. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.